What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the A-10 Insider Podcast here on the Field of 68 Media Network. My name is Rob Doster. We have a fun interview for you today. Jeff Goodman was able to catch up with Archie Miller after the Rhode Island Rams knocked off Dayton last week. It's a really fun interview. It's a good interview. They get into, the conversation about coaches that aren't able to spend time with their families and have families on different parts of the country. And it's really, it's an insightful look at what coaches have to deal with as human beings outside of actually just playing basketball. It's a good conversation. I think that you guys are going to enjoy it. It's been a wild week in the A-10, man. I cannot figure this conference out for the life of me. The curse of death struck again, the Rob Doster curse of death. We had Chris Caputo on the podcast last week, and then they go out and they lose at Fordham on Saturday. Fordham, by the way, they are quietly becoming one of the most fascinating stories in college basketball. I don't know if anybody actually predicted this, but the Rams are currently sitting in fourth place in the Atlantic 10, one game out of first place in the loss column. VCU, of course, is in first place, but Fordham on Tuesday night, they knocked off St. Louis at home. The Rams are for real. We've already had Keith Urgo on this show twice, but it looks like we're gonna have to end up getting him back on again, man, because Fordham, it does appear, is for real. That's a different podcast for a different day, something we're going to talk about a little bit further down the road. For now, why don't we jump into that interview? Jeff Goodman, Archie Miller, A-10 Insider Podcast.
All right, now pleased to welcome in none other than Rhode Island head coach Archie Miller, Field of 68 alum. And you learned a lot in your time. Admit it. You learned a lot.
I did.
I
have a much different perspective when I speak to the media. When we're not on camera, I try to take my time with them and talk to them a little bit more. I have a much different perspective.
So does your brother. Your brother's like a media star now at Xavier. Like everybody comes in, national media, whoever it is. I mean, obviously Fan is at a different level with Sean, but like everybody, the Miller brothers have now become media darlings. It's amazing.
I think the cool thing about Sean is being back in the Big East. He's right in that hub, where when he was at Arizona for a dozen years, I mean, you know how that is. I mean, so hard to communicate with people and being face to face. You're not going to see very many people, especially from the East Coast, media. They're not coming out there that much, but he's like back in that wheelhouse again of this college basketball central, He
is. Before we get on to you guys, what's it been like watching him? And first of all, him now being through the NCAA stuff. So that's finally behind him after 5 years. And watching him take over a program that he was with prior and take him over, not only just take him over and be okay, they're really good. I mean, they're the best team right now in the Big East. Yeah. I've said it. I think, Arch, maybe I'm crazy here. I think they're kind of a dark horse Final Four type team.
Well, I mean, they clearly have gotten so much better. And you can tell that he is coaching and working and preparing. Even when I was talking to him, in July and August and September, I've never seen him so just like laser focused in terms of like, I am going to push this thing as far as I can push it. And it's almost like he's now that he's through some things and now the season is unfolded, you could see that team is clearly, it's crystal clear how they're playing, and talking to him, how all off season and spending time and watching him, it's been like a perfect storm for him to take something over like that, have the pride that he has in the place that he's at. And I just think in general, being back in the Big East, he's reinvigorated. But more importantly, I just think in general, you're watching him at his finest right now in terms of clarity and focus. And the guy, I mean, I watch Jerome Hunter, who I've known since he's been in high school, and I just watch. It's like the perfect coach for Jerome. You know what I mean? There's just nowhere to go for Jerome. He's either, you know what I mean? And like all of a sudden, Jerome has turned into maybe the sixth man of the year in the Big East. It's like Zach Freemantle's having arguably a first team all conference league, and everyone wants to act as if Zach could have been a problem at one. No, that's not going to happen. So I think what you're seeing is him taking over, the team starting to mask him, his makeup a little bit. They're fantastic on offense, obviously. And I think he's constantly pressuring himself and his staff to make them better on the other end, because I think he really knows if they're going to do something special, probably need to continue to grow defensively. But it's been fun to kind of watch him again, and watch his team have that success.
Is it hard for you in a way, though? Because he takes over this program. You guys were together last year, right? He takes over this program that, boom, he can get this thing going so quick. They returned everybody. We knew they had enough talent the last few years. And here you take over this kind of rebuilding deal, of which I think you knew it was going to be tough. But when I walked away from practice, you remember what I told you in the preseason, how many games you're going to be lucky to win?
Yeah.
And you thought I was crazy when I said you're going to be lucky to win 12 games. You were like, really? Yeah, probably. I mean, listen, it was a rebuilding deal and you knew it, but until you get there, you don't understand how much of a rebuilding deal it was, right?
Yeah, I think the one thing that's very unique, and I think you probably get this as you get a little older, probably a lot of time off last year helped you. You really can't live any life, but you really can't live a coach's life watching somebody else. You know what I mean? You can't really judge yourself on what's going on over here or what's going on over here. You have to really stay focused in on what's going on right here, because that's the most important thing. So I think, Sean and his teams in my lifetime have always been something that I enjoy. Like, I can get away from what I'm doing and watch him play a little bit and then listen to him, complain. And it's funny because, look, every place has problems. Kentucky has some struggles, and the next thing you know, North Carolina struggled at the beginning of the year. Like, it's really hard, man. It's a hard profession. It's a hard business. And when you take over, I don't care if you're, winning really well right now and it feels good or not, there's still a lot of like uncertainty around your first year. And I'm living my life through my eyes, and I'm coaching our team through my eyes. I know what we have to do every day to try to get a little bit better. And you really just kind of stay focused on making your players better. And when you're going through a tough season or you're going through a tough losing streak, whatever it is, I think this is when, like, you want to stay true to the things that hopefully led you back to the profession, which is, hey, I need to be better in certain areas as a coach. And like, there's a reason that I'm here right now, and I got to make this place better. And part of it is hopefully I'm a better coach right now than I was 5 years ago or 4 years ago, that I can handle this better.
So you had a huge win against your former school. I'll call it your former school.
Yeah.
I know NC State is your school, but against Dayton, where you took them to the Elite Eight, that was kind of your start. Let's face it. Like, Dayton was kind of where you started as a young coach and got on the map. You beat them, which is a huge win, I think, for this program. I don't think it can be understated how significant a win this is. The fact that you can beat a team like that. However, you're still going to have some ups and downs the rest of the year. How do you get this group, this team now to be able to play with more consistency? What is the key to that, Arch? Trying to get them to sustain what they did well against Dayton, against some of the other teams.
It's funny. We've had a rough non-conference. We've had some injuries. We've had some guys come back. We've lost guys. We got off to a really tough start. So right away we were underwater. And we struggled in November and early December to like really practice every day hard, figure out our identity. What was our purpose? We were getting better, but it wasn't at the rate that we needed to. And we had a lot of inexperience with a lot of guys in new roles. It's difficult. But I thought, like, at the end of Christmas, we had like a little pause there. Guys got, everyone in our program kind of was impacted with a little COVID hit. It gave us almost like an extra 3 or 4 days. And when we came back from Christmas in January, it was like, we got a new lease. We had a new start here. And in conference play, we've gotten a lot better. We've had a lot of great work individually, spending time with players. They've taken advantage of the Christmas break, so to speak, spending more time together. And I tell you, I can't complain one bit about our purpose overall in the month of January. We've had good purpose. We've gotten better. We've practiced well. We've been in every game, so to speak, had leads. We've blown some tough ones. We've won a couple. And then last Saturday we played at home against George Mason, and we were coming off, a tough road game at Richmond. And man, we really laid an egg. We laid an egg at home on Saturday. And I think for the first time in maybe a month or so, boy, it did not feel right. As a coach, you're kicking yourself, wishing you could have did more, whatever.
We didn't have
right?
Archie,
We didn't have the
effort.
We didn't have that like one thing you could count on when you're not going to shoot well, or hey, we're a little undermanned tonight on the road, whatever it may be. But like playing hard and competing and having a great attitude and getting different guys to step up. We've had that. We didn't have that on Saturday, and I think when we felt that way for the first time, it was a good realization for our team. Like, man, I don't like this feeling. It's one thing to go down swinging. It's another thing not to play real hard or to not get the job done in that area. And that's what we kind of hung our hat in going into the Dayton game, was like, look, man, this isn't about the X's and O's here coming in on Wednesday night. This is about, battling it out, and showing that we still have a great resolve about us. And amongst all of the things that went on in that game, and we had some high level, play from a couple guys, and we played hard. I mean, we played really hard. And I thought guys really competed and battled. We had some different guys who were kind of in a little bit of a slump step up and make, big plays. But, and then you win that game. You beat one of the, I would say the standard in our league pretty much, in terms of like the talent and the excellence that they've had. And hopefully that carries over to some belief that like, hey, maybe this isn't as complicated as I thought it was. I just worry about playing hard and good things will happen. So we'll see how it goes. But you know how it goes, man. I mean, there are teams right now in college basketball that will come out of nowhere. They just will. There's a team that's 500 in league. There's a team that's struggling. But in the next week,
Arch, momentum is everything, right?
Like finding your groove at the right time is everything. And I think for me as a coach, I'm trying to get our team to believe there are more big moments. There are more opportunities to continue to have that feeling that we had the other night of that big win. Like, it isn't like, hey, we did a great job. All right. Well, here's the deal. LaSalle's up on Saturday at home. And if you want to continue to find a way to create more opportunities, then you have to come back to work. You have to come back and prepare, and you have to be ready to play Saturday afternoon. And you know what? That gives you the best chance of being successful. But I will tell you this, there'll be a handful of teams that are playing on that last Sunday or Saturday of the conference tournament that you're like, they're going to steal bid or they're going to do this. And my point is, like, it's not out of the realm for our team to be playing the best basketball of the season at the right time. And I think that's all I'm focused on right now with our guys. And I think that's what our guys need to just kind of lay into.
Well, it's funny because I don't think we would have thought that way, but the league is certainly way more wide open than we thought it was going to be this year, right? You thought it was going to be Dayton, St. Louis, maybe VCU, and then a big drop. And to me, there's more parity within the league, within the country, than maybe there's ever been, Arch. And again, the easy answer to that is the transfer portal. The easy answer to that is NIL. And you guys may not have a ton of NIL in your league yet. I think it probably is coming. But are you bought into that the portal and NIL and social media and just kind of the new age is why you're seeing more upsets, more parity than ever before?
No question. I mean, I think, we played Kansas State in early November. And you look at Jerome Tang, he's probably the national coach of the year right now. And I'm not talking about he just did a great job in the portal. He's doing a great job coaching his team. But when we played them, it was the first time in a long time I've kind of been on the sideline and saying, boy, they're really good. They have a first team all conference point guard who arguably maybe is an All-American season. They have Keontae Johnson, who's back, who's, if he was healthy, he'd probably be an NBA player right now a couple of years ago. And they have a slew of older transfer players that they really, really did a great job with. And I'll tell you this much, Kansas State's probably a 2 or 3 seed right now. And how does that happen? How's that possible? It's possible because there are so many different ways to reload and build a program and do things. And like, I look at our league, and our league didn't do a great job in a non-conference, so we don't really have a whole lot to stand. But I will tell you that when the cream sort of rises to the top, I have great faith that like Dayton, when they get healthy, could be playing at the best of their ability at the right time.
When you beat them, even like their guards are just coming.
Hey, look, I think they've taken on a couple different forms. They have their preseason form where they're coming into the year. They have 2 starters go down in the Bahamas and not play for months. Then they get into a groove with a new team. And you know how this goes. Then you bring back 2 guys that were a part of the fold. It's not easy, but I will say this. They have a great opportunity as their team kind of goes the next few weeks, as they get a rhythm and a chemistry. You don't want to see them playing at their best at the end of the year, right? St. Louis has maybe the most underrated player in college basketball. I don't think he gets enough attention in Yuri Collins. He is an incredible player, but they're going to end up being at the end of the year right there. And VCU's as hot as anybody. They're playing well at the right time. Mike's got those guys really believing. So those 3 in particular, I still feel not only will have their opportunities to get to the tournament, play in the tournament, but win in the tournament. They're all good. And then there's some teams in our league that, you know, are sort of all beating each other.
The bottom's better.
There's going to be
better than it's been in a while.
Look, man, I'm just telling you, like Keith Dambrot should be comeback coach of the year.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Comeback coach of the year. He's a tremendous coach. Their program a year ago struggled, and all of a sudden this year, you know, to me, they're good, man. They're really good. Chris Caputo's doing an unbelievable job at George Washington. Bishop is probably another guy in our league that, you know, people won't figure out. I mean, he could play anywhere in the country. Ricky Lindo, he was at Maryland when I was in the Big Ten. They have some guys, man. Brendan Adams is an old guard, played at UConn and then has transferred over. And, you know, to me, George Washington's really hitting their stride. I think they could make a run at the upper echelons, you know, here down in February. Fordham, Ergo has done a phenomenal job.
Sure is.
For our league, and he's also done a phenomenal job with his team. They just won 3 straight road games. They're like a 16.
It sucks that the November and December determine. Like, it's the reality. We know
it's
they
reality.
Determine
Everybody
as
knows
a league how many bids you're going to get, especially at the A-10 level, Mountain West, you know, those leagues. It sucks, but because again, teams like you said, Dayton come in 2 weeks from now, could be able to beat anybody in the country once Kobe, Elvis, and Malachi are healthy.
It's it's the reality of the world that we live in, and it's the reality of the world that's going to continue to go. But hey, look, no one's hurt our league more than I did. They ought to all be pissed at me. You know what I'm saying? Like we struggled, man. We really did in the non-conference, and we actually played a decent non-conference schedule. Some of the teams that we played are actually very good. But it is the reality. But I will say that it kind of goes in cycles. You know, our league will get older. Yep. You know, our league will get a year better. You know, Frank over at UMass is going to, you know, take over. And the next thing you know, he is a second year, third year. So I think our league's going to get deeper and even better as the years continue to progress. But I like our league in February and March. I do believe that we'll have a multiple bid league somehow, some way. It always works out that way. And St. Louis, you don't want to see Yuri Collins. VCU's VCU. They get great talent, play hard. And I will just say this about Dayton. I know we beat them the other night, but they have some time here to, you know, work those guys back in. And if they get their chemistry back, you know, working those guys back in and get healthy too. You know, Blakeney was out the other night. He's a good player. If they get their full onslaught at the right time, they could go on a heck of a run as well.
Hey, you and I talked when I was there in the preseason about how difficult it was going to be for you personally this year, living away from your wife and daughter.
Yeah.
I'm dealing without, you know, my daughter for the first time in my life. She's in college, and as a freshman, you're going to have that next year. Your daughter's a senior in high school right now. She's a big time gymnast, headed to LSU next year. What's it been like? I mean, how do you describe it? How different? I know you're in the grind, and that's the only probably good thing about it is that you're busy all the time trying to get this team better, trying to recruit, whatever it is. But what's it been like?
You know, you're disappointed, you know, sort of that you're not there. Not so much disappointed that they're not here, because we all kind of came to grips with the possibility of going and relocating, doing some things would require us to, whenever it may happen, to stay in a place for a couple of years just to make sure that we could get her out of high school. We've moved a lot, and wife has moved a lot. So like, there's no point of doing it again in 6 months. So kind of knew that was going to happen. But I think, for me personally, your daughter going off to college, that's going to be like big deal. But like, I'm not there in her last year of, being around every day, so like, there's a lot of sacrifice. You get down a little bit. I am busy, so occupying your mind with the team and the practices and the travel and the games, it sort of speeds things up where all of a sudden, like, wow, we're like a week from February, so,
it'll be over soon. Yeah.
I mean, really, I was saying the other day to my wife, like, you realize like we're almost like a month away from like a year of taking the job. Like, that doesn't even seem right. Like, where last year at this time we were getting ready to go to Park City. Like, I was going to Park City to watch the Super Bowl and see some snow and smoke some cigars or whatever it may be. But like, that was what my
less
thing.
Stress. Hey, Archie,
yeah, that was the thing last year. It was like, Goodman, I'm not going on podcast. I'm not doing 68 next week. I'm leaving town. I'm heading to Park City, Utah. I'm going to go check out these mountains or whatever. It just at that time last year, that was the mode. And like 11 months away, like from, I'm thinking back, like, damn, it goes fast. And, but I tell you what, we've had our opportunities to get together, and doing our best with it, communicating. I think we're all probably looking forward to, her getting through high school and then us kind of getting back together again before she takes off this summer. But time flies, man.
It's hard. I always say this, like that's always the hardest part. It was the hardest part with the travel for me.
Yeah.
When like, because when you're in that grind, you're doing something all the time. You can't be, I always say this, you try to be the best, father, husband you can while doing your job at the highest level. Something's got to give. And I have some regrets, obviously, for, when I was a father and Talia was younger. I think I've gotten better the last few years, but yeah, you feel guilty because you know what it is too? I think I felt guilty, Arch, because I love my job. It's easier to like be away and you're not feeling guilty when you hate your job, right? You're like, okay, right. I'm doing it for my family, and we're doing it for our families, but we also, it's not like we hate our jobs.
No, I mean, it's your life. It's the kind, sort of like the thing that with your passion sort of created a life for you and your family. And in my case, basketball's the thing,
right.
It's what you do, so I mean, like, I'm fortunate. I think we spent a lot of time together a year ago, which probably made up for some lost time. But yeah, there's no question. You look back on, what you were doing, trying to go recruiting and spending the time, in the mornings with your team. And I mean, there'd be times, you come home from practice or come home from a road trip, your family sleep and you're out the door before they wake sometimes. And so you don't see them in 2 days and you're in town, what I mean? Like,
right.
And when you have you have a young family, you kind of look back on it now and you say, like, what was I doing? Was it really that important? I think
I
as
say
you get
it all
older,
the time, Arch. All the time.
Yeah, you get a little older now, and you kind of like, you probably say that's really not what I need to be doing right now. I need to be over here doing this. And yeah, but it's been challenging. I will say this: we're really excited about living here. It's an unbelievable place to live. I never knew. You just don't know until you know.
Are we gonna get together? We should get together, the four of us in Newport in the off season.
Yeah, soon as
we can do the six of us with daughters too, potentially. I don't. Soon as
the family sort of gets the caravan back over east, definitely. But it's I'm looking forward to kind of that part. We still got a lot of work to do here. We'll still be very busy, but at the same time, there's kind of like a new phase going for us, with college coming along and all that stuff.
When you get some time, you got to go for that walk. I forget what it's called.
Cliff walk.
Yeah, the
cliff walk.
Yes, incredible,
isn't it? I only did half it. I can't concentrate long enough to do the full thing.
Me too. It's a long walk.
I did half of it and I cut off halfway.
Then you got on this, right?
But yeah. We did like half of it, and I was like, "Is there more of this?" And they said, "Yeah, we got the whole other side." I'm like, "Yeah, let's just take a break. We'll get the other side some other
We'll
day."
do that another day.
I haven't been back.
Next year.
I haven't been back yet. Yeah.
Well, listen, it's been, like I said, I think one of the most gratifying things for me has been to watch, I think, how much you and your brother have just kind of maybe you've changed a little bit over the last year. I would say so much for the better. Not that you weren't. I just think you guys were so laser focused, almost too much, and the people didn't know who you were. I don't think you guys let your guard down to let people know who you were, to let people know your personality. You know, you're pretty focused, you're pretty stoic. And I tell people all the time, and I've told them for 20 years, because we've known each other, you know, since you were a young assistant coach. I'm like, no, this dude can absolutely let his guard down and have fun. They're like, really, Arch? I'm like, trust me, this dude. They're like, but I've never seen him smile. Like,
Yeah, that's not. I think that's probably the number one thing. I think everybody is like, I can't believe I saw you smile on TV last year. It was like, really? Was everybody say that? Like, I don't smile. Like, I guess I don't smile. I don't know.
You got to smile more on the sidelines. That's what it is.
I'm happy inside.
We'll mic you up like they mic Sean up.
Oh man, I tell you, man, that was so funny. That was so fun watching him. I'll be honest with you. I think he was more nervous about that than the game.
Oh, I'm sure he was. Hey, listen, if they mic you up, you know your thing. And the funniest part was through the whole game, he was pretty good. No profanities, nothing.
He had one slip up.
Then at the end,
he kind of got it going at the end.
Yeah,
he kind of got it going at the end. But I tell you, Fox does a tremendous job. I mean, they're phenomenal, yes. And sometimes even they want the huddle access at the media timeouts sometimes. And I used to get worried about the huddle access all the time. But I tell you what, if you had a mic on me and I would forget during the game.
Usually they're pretty good, though. They're pretty good about not running something back.
Yeah, I would think that they probably wouldn't want to set you up to fail. But I think somebody was telling me the other day, I think Holtman did it like when they played, and I don't think he was very comfortable doing it either. You know,
no, he didn't want to do it at all. And then they lost. So he'll never do it again. You know,
right.
Steve Shear is the one at Fox that tries to get everybody to do it.
He does.
He wears guys down.
Good. Steve's a good man.
He's the best, and he'll wear you down. And I think he wore Sean down.
He does. You feel guilty. You don't want to let Steve down, and like
right.
But they do take good care of you. They do take good care of you.
All right. Well, listen, get back to work. I appreciate you taking time. Hell of a win against Dayton, and hopefully I'll see you when I get back to the crappy weather.
Yeah, it's beautiful here. If you come back and bring it, it'll be on you. But it's been a beautiful, sunny outside. The whole thing. It's nice.
Go for a walk on the cliff walk. All right.
Walk around the concourse or something.
There you go. All right, Archie Miller, A-10 Insider Pod. Good seeing you. We'll talk soon.
All right, buddy.